Hi, my name is Anne-Marie Stokes. I graduated from the University of Mississippi in 2020 with a bachelor's degree in social studies education. From there, I went on to work and complete my master's in European history with a minor in American history at the University of Louisiana at Lafayette. I am working at school right now, and my students are all over listening to me make this, so I just wanted to give an advance. If you hear people in the background, that's them.
Hi!
My master's thesis was based on the Tudor Reformation, and I absolutely fell in love with the topic. I have always been intrigued by the women in the Reformation more so than the men, so I thought this would be a perfect time to write a paper about them and their contributions to English history. The Tudor Reformation is often masked by the infamous life of Henry VIII, King of England from 1509 to 1547, and his marriage and disposal of 6 different women during the time. Henry's usual role within scholarship is an essential component in the Reformation, and its ascension has waned since the late 20th century. Instead, the rise of scholarly interest in women's and gender studies concerning the role of women as investigators and victims during the Reformation has grown. As I attempted to prove in my paper and research through following the work of 10 different historians and a plethora of primary sources, how a full analysis of the religious and political realm surrounding the Reformation is better understood in the context of women. The paper also discusses the way in which scholarship has worked to include the conversation of royal, non-royal, aristocratic, and non-aristocratic women in the Tudor Reformation and their essential role in the religious and political climate of the era. The main type of evidence that I used while writing this paper was from the National Archives, which provided me with an enormous amount of information on the Protestant Reformation. I used many primary sources to do the bulk of my research. I also used a list of 10 secondary sources from scholars who are experts in the field on the Reformation. These sources included Ronald H. Bainton's Women of the Reformation in France and England, Kimberly Ann Cole's Religion, Reform, and Women's Writing in Early Modern England, Eamon Duffy's Fires of Faith, Catherine L. French's The Good Women of the Parish, Helen Hackett's Virgin Mary, Maiden Queen, Barbara J. Harris's English Aristocratic Women and the Fabric of Piety, Eric Ives' The Life and Death of Anne Boleyn, Jenna Lay, Beyond the Cloister, and finally Christine Peters' Patterns of Piety. After conducting my research, this is what I found. The Reformation was dominated by the histories of men from the time before the beginning of women's and gender studies. With the reframing and relearning of the Reformation and religion with a focal point of women, the socially broader perspective of the era is more accurate. Our understanding of the Reformation is more accurate when discussing gender, which is a central factor to the conversation. Women, both royal and non-royal, are essential factors in the discussion of religion and politics of the Tudor Reformation. Scholarship has shifted to include stories of women in the framework of the early modern world. The understanding of Henry VIII's wives and daughters are fundamental to the understanding of the Tudor regime as a whole. However, in the greater context of it all, their stories are not alone in their importance to the discussion. Scholarship has grown to include the stories of other women and less known everyday women to further exemplify the incredible role of women and gender in the Tudor Reformation. Further questions that were raised when conducting my research for the paper really came down to the difference between Protestant women and Catholic women in England. Both of Henry VIII's 2 daughters were vastly different from one another, one being Catholic and one being Protestant, and they have provided us with a lot of insight into the life and times of each woman. However, this is a top-down approach to history, and it is always important to focus on both the top-down and bottom-up narration. Again, I apologize. My students are watching me make this currently.
Hey guys!
So all around me, yes.